these worldly achievements don't give sukham, they only bring dukkham. Therefore, I think continuing to achieve these things in life, one should also be above what one achieves physically in society, because the fundamental goal is something different. I want to मैं इंग्लिश में ही बोलूं क्योंकि हिंदी थोड़ा इतना परिपक्व नहीं है मेरा, और बीच बीच में थोड़ा अगर इधर उधर हो जाता है हिंदी में तो फिर भी बीच बीच में बोलूंगा. I want to first at the outset express my deep gratitude from the depths of my heart to Mahabodhi Society of India, to Venerable Sivali Theroji, with whom I have had the opportunity to continuously meet, engage, and to receive a lot of wisdom and to receive a lot of inspiration in Kolkata at the headquarters of Mahabodhi Society of India. I want to thank Venerable Silavansa Theroji for taking the trouble to come and meet me and to showering his warmth, his affection, his compassion. I want to thank Subratada, a very dear friend. I want to thank Dr. Manish Kumar and the entire fraternity of Mahabodhi Society for linking us together again, and for this singular honor that you have bestowed on Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee and his contribution to the legacy of Buddha in India and across the world. And therefore, when I stand here today, it is not that I as an individual who is being honored, it is the other way. It is that I feel privileged, honored, blessed to come in this sacred precincts. And the atmosphere here, and if you have visited the Mahabodhi Society of India headquarters in Kolkata, the temple there, it is a unique atmosphere. It is a unique vibration that one feels there. It is a vibration that is dynamic, that continuously renews itself. It is a vibration that infuses anyone who comes in that precincts, as I am feeling here, as I was feeling here when I was standing, it infuses one unmistakably with a dynamic positive energy. And therefore, when we remember Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee and his contribution to Buddha legacy in India and across the world, we are renewing our faith. We are re-pledging ourselves to take forward that legacy towards the future. Thank you so much, and I was delighted to really meet Yashiji here, and for many years we have been in touch, we have been together, and Vishakha ji, to know her and to know the legacy, the generational legacy that she has with the Mahabodhi Society is also something very unique. So thank you so much. Friends, as I was coming this morning, मैं आ रहा था सुबह यहाँ से, तो जब मंदिर मार्ग में प्रवेश करते हैं तो पहले है काली मंदिर है, फिर महाबोधि सोसाइटी के मंदिर है, और इसके बाद हिंदू महासभा का दफ्तर है. तो आप सोचिए, एक व्यक्ति इन तीनों प्रतिष्ठान के साथ अपने जीवन में जुड़ा हुआ जो था वो डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी थे. If you go to the Kali Mandir here in Mandir Marg, you will see a plaque. As Union Minister in 1948 May, he laid the foundation of the guest house of the temple here. As Union Minister, and even before that, he took the initiative to raise funds for the temple. And it is perhaps the only temple in India which has a bust of Syama Prasad Mukherjee's kept in their premises. And then the Mahabodhi Society of India from 1942 to 53. Very interesting. अगर आप ऐसे देखते हैं तो उनका राजनैतिक सार्वजनिक जीवन का पीक जो था उस समय काल में, उस कालखंड में वो महाबोधि सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया के अध्यक्ष भी थे. यह अद्भुत है. 1942 he becomes, at the age of 41 he becomes the youngest finance minister of Bengal. At that time it was a coalition government, and very interestingly it was the only coalition, successful coalition government which was formed by Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee, Hindu Mahasabha leader, and Fazlul Haq, leader of the Krishak Praja Party. One of the most successful communal coalition which functioned harmoniously for 2 years, and he was one of the most successful finance ministers of Bengal. 1942, when he became president of Mahabodhi Society, he was finance minister. Until 1953, for nearly 11 years, in between, he became member of the Constituent Assembly. He became the first industry minister in Free India's first cabinet. He became member of parliament in Free India's first Lok Sabha, and he became the founder of the Bharatiya Jana Sangh, which was the precursor to the present day Bharatiya Janata Party. So I say it is Buddha's blessings, it is his compassion that in these 11 years, in the peak of his public and political career, Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee continued to be president of Mahabodhi Society. And one of the most active presidents of Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Theroji, mentioned briefly the activities that he had undertaken. So as I came here, all these thoughts came to my mind. And it is not coincidence. In Bharatiya Parampara, there is no coincidence. It is all destiny. It is destined to be that. And therefore, his link with Mahabodhi Society, his leadership as president of Mahabodhi Society of India was specially significant, symbolic, and it had a deep message, not only for free India, but India's future as well. Friends, I think there is one quotation, one thought that keeps inspiring. Especially it inspires me extremely, constantly. And perhaps because the quotation is inspirational, it inspires also. Swami Vivekananda had said, and I think if you look at India's tradition, no one perhaps has spoken in this way. Swami Vivekananda said, I am the servant of the servants of the servants of Buddha. I am the servant of the servants of the servants of Buddha. Who was there ever like him? The Lord, who never performed one action for himself, with a heart that embraced the whole world. I think it is this approach, this attitude. When one looks at Syama Prasad Mukherjee and the photographs, if you look at the photographs, I have given some to Venerable Theroji, and I'll make a collection. I've already put together a collection of his photographs when carrying Buddha's relics, when receiving it. You look at his demeanor. That demeanor comes across as this: I'm the servant of the servants of the servants of Buddha. I think this is the attitude which we need to continuously cultivate, inculcate and radiate when we are engaging in disseminating Buddha's message. I will just read out initially, and if I take too long, you can, Yeshiji, stop me also if I take too long. I will just initially read out, because as Venerable Theroji said, आप ये जानते हैं कि महामौलाना सरिपुत्र के जो रेलिक्स हैं, देहावशेष जो थे, वो भारत में लाया गया, और उस समय के म्यांमार के जो प्रधानमंत्री थे, म्यांमार के जो पहले प्रधानमंत्री, प्रथम जो प्रधानमंत्री थे, उन्होंने विशेष आग्रह किया था कि महामोगलम सरिपुत्र के जो दुहावशेष हैं वो और बुद्ध के जो सेक्रेड रेलिक्स हैं, इसका कुछ अंश अगर हमको मिल सकता है बर्मा में, तो हम बहुत ही उपकृत होंगे। सो in February, between February and April 1950, the relics were organized, a tour was organized for entire Southeast Asia for this by महाबोधि सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया। और महाबोधि सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया के 1950 के रिपोर्ट में, जर्नल में इसका पूरा डिस्क्रिप्शन है। एंड द relics were taken to Southeast Asia. Syama Prasad Mookerjee took the relics as president of Mahabodhi Society. And you may recall just about 15 days back, the king of Cambodia had come. For the first time in 60 years, the king of Cambodia visited India on an official visit. It was the father of this king of Cambodia, Prince Norodom Sihanouk, who received Syama Prasad Mookerjee and the sacred relics. It was taken on a golden chariot from the airport. It was specially displayed. And there was a public meeting in Phnom Penh where 500,000 people gathered to listen to Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee speak on Buddha and the heritage and future of the world. And Syama Prasad Mookerjee says, Buddha showed the path of peace. Peace not of the grave, but of the living. Peace born out of deep understanding and proper appreciation of the realities of life. Peace can only be permanent if it conquers evil and brings about a true harmony between spiritual and material impulses of man, so that both by his preaching and practice he may prove himself worthy of the master. Friend, I want to also remind you here that as one of the youngest vice chancellors of Calcutta University, he became vice chancellor at the age of 33, a record which continues to remain unbroken till date. 35 साल की उम्र में उपाचार्य बन गए कलकत्ता विश्वविद्यालय का, अनब्रोकन रिकॉर्ड। और जब वो वाइस चांसलर थे उस समय उन्होंने शुरू किया था, कई प्रकल्प उन्होंने शुरू किया था। भारतीय भाषाओं को प्रमोट करना, साइंटिफिक टर्मिनोलॉजी जो आज हम कह रहे हैं, जिस पे आज काम हो रहा है, दैट साइंटिफिक टर्मिनोलॉजी शुड बी इन योर ओन मदर टंग। ये साइंटिफिक टर्मिनोलॉजी बंगला भाषा में बने ताकि बंगला में जो साइंस पढ़ना चाहते हैं पढ़ सकते हैं, इसका भी उद्योग उन्होंने लिया था। पर हमारे यहां जो संदर्भ जो रेलेवेंट है, प्रासंगिक है, वो ये है कि बंगाल में, अविभाजित बंगाल उस समय, बंगाल में बौद्ध धर्म का और बौद्ध धर्म के जो शिक्षा प्रांगण थे, प्रतिष्ठान थे उस समय का, उसमें आर्कियोलॉजिकल एक्सकैवेशन शुरू करना ये उन्होंने किया था। यानी उनके मन में, उनके विचारों में, उनके कार्य पद्धति, कार्य शैली में एक बुद्ध और उनके विचार, उनके दर्शन, उनके जीवन, ये सब समाहित था। आई गो बैक टू हिज टूर ऑफ साउथ ईस्ट एशिया। वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। उन्होंने जब when we became independent in the early years of independence in 1950, when the relics went, in one of the public meetings he said, there are many holy places in India which are sanctified by their associations with the life and activities of Lord Buddha, and they would naturally attract pilgrims and visitors from all Buddhist countries throughout the world. I fervently hope that these places would not only be preserved and protected by our government and peoples of India, but in and around them would develop institutions and monasteries which should become active centers of beneficent activities both in social and cultural spheres, inspiring masses of the people and also attracting those who want to devote themselves in the cause of higher studies and research. देखिए 1950 में आजादी के स्वाधीनता के 3 साल के अंदर वो कह रहे हैं, जो आज हम देख रहे हैं बुद्ध सर्किट, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी बार बार बुद्ध सर्किट पे एम्फेसिस दे रहे हैं, इंटरनेशनल बुद्धिस्ट कन्वेंशन हो रहा है, कुशीनगर में इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट बना है, कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ रहा है, उन्होंने बाद में आऊंगा। पर ये 1950 में श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी क्या कह रहे हैं, यही कह रहे हैं। और मैं ये अगर मैं इस दृष्टि से देखता हूं, वन ऑफ द टॉलेस्ट हिंदू लीडर्स, हिंदू समाज के सबसे एक महत्वपूर्ण जननायक कह सकते हैं उनको, पर उनका ये भी मन में चिंता में है और वो सार्वजनिक तौर पे व्यक्त कर रहे हैं इसको कि आजाद भारत को अपने बुद्ध विरासत जो है, उस बुद्ध विरासत को संरक्षण करना है, उस बुद्ध विरासत को कंप्लीटली प्रिजर्व करके, उस बुद्ध विरासत जहां जहां बौद्ध केंद्र है, उस केंद्र के ऑल अराउंड इट यू नीड टू डेवलप institutions, cultural, educational institutions, and preserve the Buddhist heritage and legacy. And that is why when Prime Minister Modi says today, Vikas and Virasat, I can clearly see that in the Virasat, the Buddha legacy has a very dominant place. And that Virasat is also seeing Vikas. साउथ ईस्ट एशिया के बारे में, साउथ ईस्ट एशिया, इंडिया एंड बुद्धा, Syama Prasad Mukherjee said, and this was the speech he gave in Phnom Penh. He said, many of the countries in Southeast Asia, after attaining independence, are striving hard to revive the highest element of Buddhist culture and religious thought. In this respect, India occupies the role of the spiritual mother. Spiritual mother. He selects the word very consciously and carefully. And he says, we must, with a true sense of humility and responsibility, we must re-establish bonds of friendship and understanding with them so that their fraternity would not only be welcomed by the peoples of the countries concerned, but would also create a mighty source of strength and solidarity which would worthily contribute to the maintenance of world peace and freedom. Friends, I think this is, he has described the charter of the Mahabodhi Society of India. It is with this vision that Dharmapala ji, the iconic Dharmapala ji, founded the Mahabodhi Society. And it is that civilizational bond bridge that Syama Prasad Mukherjee tried to revive, rekindle and to preserve in his 10 years as president of the Mahabodhi Society of India. I want to also mention here that in his proactiveness, मैं एक बार म्यांमार में एक बड़ा कॉन्फ्रेंस, संवाद कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ था। म्यांमार के जो लीडिंग बुद्धिस्ट मंक हैं, सिताबू जी वहां थे और मैं तेरो जी से भी ये हमारा बात हो रहा था उस दिन। तो मैंने कहा कि देखिए एक अद्भुत उनमें, उनके पर्सनालिटी, श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी के पर्सनालिटी में, और उनको भी मालूम नहीं था, मैंने कहा देखिए एक अद्भुत एक समागम उनके पर्सनालिटी में था, that he was an active public leader, he was an active elected member of parliament, and he was also an active president of Mahabodhi Society of India. So there was no conflict, there was no compartmentalization. There was a complete synergy in all his actions and whatever he did. It was not that now I am a member of parliament, so I am not Mahabodhi Society of India president, or that I am a minister and therefore I am just a figurehead as Mahabodhi Society of India president. No. The new vihara that was established in Sanchi was his effort. Portion of the relics of Mahamoggalana Sariputta which was installed there was due to his effort. And please remember that in November 1952, when the Mahamoggalana Sariputta's relics were installed in the new Vihara in Sanchi, a mega international conference was organized by him under the aegis of Mahabodhi Society of India in Sanchi, where everyone participated, from starting from the Prime Minister of India to Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Vice President of India, Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee, and all the others leading Buddhist scholars from across India and the world. At the same time, if you see, he is carrying out a correspondence with the Foreign Secretary of India at that time. He is carrying out a correspondence with Jawaharlal Nehru. He is writing to Jawaharlal Nehru in 1950 April. He is saying that Mahabodhi Society of India's recent initiative of taking the relics across Southeast Asia has evoked widespread feelings of enthusiasm and reverence. And especially he speaks about Myanmar. He says that the Prime Minister of Burma is anxious that a small portion of the relics may be kept in Burma. This will have a unifying influence on the people of that country. I think in history it is only one case where the government of India decided that it will give him as a permanent loan, a portion of Mahamoggalana Sariputta's relics, a portion of the sacred relics of Buddha to be kept in Myanmar. And the Kaaba Pagoda, the relics are still there. There was a grand ceremony, the relics were installed there. Syama Prasad Mookerjee was specially invited and he flew from Kolkata. That was his last foreign trip before he passed away. So the last foreign trip also was as President of Mahabodhi Society of India, as representative of Mahabodhi Society of India, in order to establish the relics there. I had the good fortune, I was telling Theroji, I had the good fortune of going there. I had the privilege of being able to install a life-size marble plaque there mentioning this, that he as President of Mahabodhi Society of India did this. We received a lot of support and warmth and affection, and I had the deep fortune of receiving the relics on my head, or being kept on my head also. That was the blessings of a lifetime. Friends, I think when we talk about this, this is a small booklet that I had written about the impressions of my visit and installing of the relics of the plaque. Friends, when we talk about the historic, the legendary legacy role of Mahabodhi Society of India, I see for it a millennium role as well. The 21st century will be the Asian century. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi says something very inspiring. And I think all of us sitting here will agree with that. And it is that you cannot dream, you cannot conceive of the Asian century without Buddha at the center of it. We want an Asian century, and we want that Asian century to be shaped, to be inspired by Buddha. And he has stated this often. He has stated this across the world. He has stated it in India and in Southeast Asia. Mahinda Vamsa Mahanayaka Tero of Sri Lanka, Venerable says something very inspiring. He says, today the international Buddhist community feels that under the Modi government, we see a great revival of Buddhism in India. I quote him, Buddhism is about compassion and is about happiness. I think this is exactly the legacy, this is exactly the dream, the vision that we want to establish in the next 25 years. When India celebrates 100 years of her independence, the Asian century should have already taken off. And it is again very interesting that you have a Prime Minister today who is linked to Buddha's legacy. Since childhood, he's grown up in a village which was one of the greatest centers of Buddhist learning in medieval India. And that is why I say that any statesman who's made a difference to world affairs, who has made a difference to India, has the Buddha link, has the Buddha connection. आप मिलाकर देख लीजिए, सब में ये है, सब में समाहित है, समय समय पे ये इसका प्रकटीकरण होता है. As we move towards the Asian century, and as we clearly articulate that the Asian century will be driven by Buddha's message, his legacy and his vision, we need to renew ourselves through our actions, through our pledges, to also be participants in creating that Asian century. अगले 25 साल अमृत काल है. अमृत काल में कई एजेंडा है. उसका सबसे बड़ा जो मौलिक एजेंडा है वो यही है कि हम एशियन सेंचुरी, इसको हिंदी में कैसे कहेंगे कि एशियन सेंचुरी को शताब्दी, एशिया की शताब्दी को अगर हमको बनाना है, उस एशिया का शताब्दी के जो आध्यात्मिक और बौद्धिक जो फाउंडेशंस होगा वो बुद्ध होगा. और it is extremely heartening to see that last year in Lumbini, not only was the international, and in fact, Theroji, I compared the dates, very interesting. It was in Sri Lanka in 2017, when Prime Minister visited Sri Lanka in 2017, he said that, and he participated in the International Vesak Day in Sri Lanka, he said he wants to develop Buddha circuit in India, rejuvenation of pilgrimage centers like Sharnath and Kushinagar, inauguration of Kushinagar International Airport, India International Center for Buddhist Culture and Heritage in Lumbini, International Buddhist Confederation, etc. He gave a program in Sri Lanka of what he wants to do in the next few years. And if you look back today, standing in 2023, most of it has already been done. In April last year, the International Buddhist Meditation Center in Lumbini was inaugurated. For the first time in the history of independent India, Lumbini University and ICCR came about together to sign an understanding, an MOU, to establish a Dr. Ambedkar chair in Lumbini Center. One of the greatest articulators, interpreters of Buddha's vision at the grassroots. Nobody can parallel Dr. Ambedkar. A chair established in his name. And then if you look at the development that has been taken place in Kushinagar, the international airport, not only the international airport, you see, the international airport is there, but the vision behind it, कि हमको कुशीनगर क्षेत्र जो है, आपके इस तरफ श्रवस्ती है, कपिलवस्तु है, लुम्बिनी है, ये जो पूरा क्षेत्र है, इस क्षेत्र को ऐसे हम डेवलप करेंगे, ये बुद्ध क्षेत्र बन जाएगा और वाइब्रेंट बनेगा. सारा विश्व से लोग यहां आते हैं, but we have to provide them the best. They have to come and they have to be so relaxed and so at ease that they can go away having absorbed the best, and that is why it is being done. बुद्ध सर्किट के लिए जो एलोकेशन हुआ उसको आप देखिए, 343 crores plus has been allocated to develop Buddha circuit, and each place, each center that has been sanctified by Buddha, by his life, by his message, by his disciples, by the monks, each of these centers will be developed in such a way that they will become vibrant. Around that center will develop institutions. People living in that area will also be benefited, and each of these centers will become a global window to the world. So please remember what Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee had hoped in 1950, that we will preserve our Buddha legacy, our centers, preserve them as dynamic and vibrant centers where people from all across the world will come and absorb, because India is the spiritual mother. So therefore, when we look at what is happening today, and last year in April 2022, I remember, the Mahabodhi International Convention Center was inaugurated in Bodh Gaya. 800 dining space, 500 conference, 500 sitting capacity conference rooms, a 2000 sitting capacity auditorium with the most modern amenities available, so that scholars, researchers, monks, venerables can come and stay there, continue the research, continue with their spiritual pursuit, and have the best of modern qualities, have the best of modern infrastructure to be taken care of at the same spot. So therefore, when we speak about the Asian century, it is not only an intellectual vision. ये सिर्फ बात नहीं है, ये सिर्फ जब बोला है तात्विक आलोचना ना. You will understand. It is not only an intellectual pastime. We are seeing it happening. And therefore, when we speak today about Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee, when we speak today about Mahabodhi Society of India, I look at it this way, because I look at it a little differently. I say that Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee, President of Mahabodhi Society of India, one of the most active presidents of Mahabodhi Society India, he died at the age of 52. Had he lived for 20 more years, one doesn't know what more he could have done. Till the age of 52 he lived, and in those 52 years, 11 years he was president of Mahabodhi Society of India. सोचिए इसका 92 साल उनका जीवन काल था, उसमें 11 साल वो प्रेसिडेंट थे महाबोधि सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया, और उन्होंने जिस धारा को शुरू किया 1951 में, उसी धारा का आज हम देख रहे हैं भारत के प्रधानमंत्री, जो is fulfilling that wish of preserving, of taking forward the Buddha legacy, the Buddha circuit. Circuit is a very limited word. I say the legacy, the vision, the message, all across India, not only in India and across the world. And therefore, friends, that I say that we live in very interesting times. And since we live in interesting times, we have an interesting responsibility. And that responsibility is, if I reiterate it again, that it is through institutions such as these, institutions such as MBSI, Mahabodhi Society of India, which germinated in modern times the message of Buddha in the spiritual homeland of India, and then from here took it across the world. Organizations and societies such as these, because we have Dr. Kumar here, we have Subratoda, we have Theroji himself here, Yeshiji, all those who are very active in this. It is organizations. I don't call these organizations, I don't even call these institutions. These are movements. These are Mahabodhi Society is a movement with a soul. It is a movement with spiritual personality, and it is with that personality that we connect. It is from that personality that we derived our sustenance. And it is these institutions, these organizations that have to now take forward for the next 25 years, take forward the initiative so that the Asian century can be realized, and so that in the realization of that Asian century, the message, the life of Buddha plays a decisive and defining role. This was my submission. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much for giving this singular honor to the sacred memory of Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee. Thank you so much.